publishers at DC Comics, and I'm really happy to have you all here today. Forgive me, my voice is a little gone, only because at any convention we spend most of our time shouting, just at the things we want to see, the people we talk to. But this particular panel, I have a great time, and this is one of the ones I really enjoy the most. When we talk about comics, we talk about so much fun stuff with the characters, so many fun stuff with the stories, and all the crazy stuff that we're doing in the books month in and month out. But when you get behind the scenes and you start thinking about the people making the books, you start to wonder why you love comics so much. And why I love comics is so much of what is brought by the art, the storytelling, the visual sense of what it is, the dynamics, the adventure, just the scope of what we do. So when we decide to build a panel, we decide to build a panel with the people who we think really are the masters in this business, the people who lead the charge, who inspire others to become artists or fans of comics. And what I want to do right now is introduce probably what I call one of the finest arrays of comic book artists assembled. So in no particular order other than the way the slides are organized, I'm going to bring people over on stage. The first one I'd like to introduce is Mr. Greg Capullo. Mr. Jim Lee. One of the true pedigrees in the business, Mr. Andy Kubert. Mr. John Romita. Mr. Jimmy Daniel. Is one probably inspired us all down the stage right now. I'd like to introduce Mr. Frank Miller. It's like they just did a sign together 2 minutes ago. You know what? I want to go through a little bit here. One of the things we do when we do the masterclass rounds, I like to take through just the history of some of these artists themselves, about things that we know about them, and take you through what they've done together as a group. And then I'm going to get into something a little bit more. We're going to try something in the second half of this, because I realized one of the things I noticed is I lined up a group of us that have all worked on Batman. So the second half of the panel, we're going to get into a little debate about what makes the best Batman. Okay? And we're going to do it on the spot. But first, let's go through the list. I'm going to start with Mr. Greg Capullo. Greg. All right, there he is. From your years of Spawn. There we go. Metal, everybody's reading metal, right? Great, let's go through your process about your career, from where you were Spawn to where you are now with Mel, and how much has changed and how much has stayed the same?
Well, I just gotta say, because, as you know, I did a lot of Spawn with Todd and everything like that, and it was the 90s, so everything was a little over the top, especially with the length of the cape. And so, when I was taking on the job, I made the mistake, I guess, of going on to different, comic book forums and reading, what fans had in mind, especially that I was going to take on, one of the most iconic figures in the world, Batman. And, so I was getting a lot of, 90s artist hate and all, now Batman's cape is 40 feet long, and so I knew I had to control the length of the cape, And so that was like the first thing in my mind is like, okay, I gotta stay, play calm in the cape. Even though I see other artists going, the cape is so long, you step on it, I go, if I do it, they're gonna throw the 90s stones at me. So I was careful to avoid that. But there are a lot of similarities between, Spawn and Batman, obviously. There's a lot of parallels in that. But you know, ultimately I wanted to make him my own, but I walked in and I had to use Father Jim Lee's designs, so that cut a little bit of what my idea was. But with Batman, I guess, I don't know, I want to go too far, because you said you want to talk about what makes a good Batman.
We'll get that later, yeah.
Right, so I don't want to go all the way too far. So take me back to your original question so I corral myself.
So again, it's how do we start with something in the early career spot, the books you're working on over at Marvel, then over at Image, and now you're at Metal. This is probably the biggest event you've ever done. I mean, how much more difficult it was than from the other projects you've done over the years?
Oh, absolutely! It's the most ambitious. You know, I in the early days when Jim and the rest of the gang went and formed Image Comics, they put me on X-Force, and that was a team book, and that's, you know, until now the hardest experience working. Right, as opposed to one character, you've got multiple characters, and you have to infuse them with life of their own. You know, their own personality, characteristics. You have to learn the body language, what kind of gestures they use, and all those different costumes. So, I mean, that in itself, I swore I would never do another team book, ever again. And then I'm on Metal, because they fooled me, and they tricked me, and they lied. And so now, it's beyond a team book, obviously. I'm throwing a lot of characters that I'm not even familiar with, you know, because to be honest, I grew up mostly with Marvel characters, so there's large parts of the DC universe that I'm not familiar with. So every issue of DC Metal, I get, you know, as soon as the script is sent, I'm sent from editorial a big fat folder of digital files of a zillion characters and a zillion settings. And so it's very ambitious, and so I'm constantly saddled to piles of reference waiting through that, along with drawing all these characters. So it's time consuming, but it's also really a lot of fun, because obviously you see what we're doing here. I mean, you can't look at that and not realize that all of the people involved are also having fun, despite the hard labor. So to me, it's an exploratory thing. I'm learning about all kinds of new characters and settings and stuff, and I'm having a blast.
Great. Thank you, sir. Thank you very much. Okay, moving right along, we're going to go to Jim next, Mr. Jim Lee. Punisher Wardrobe, and everybody else seems to remember you for X-Men. It's just like, hey, we go from X-Men and then we move along his career, comes in. Oh yeah, Batman Hush career. And there you go. And now we're moving on to a new series of Mortal Men, which is actually going to be spinning out of a lot of the events of Metal. But I want to go back a second to you, Jim, because many people don't know this about how important Jim was to me at DC Comics when I first started. It was back in 2003, 2004. And Jim's Batman probably made such a statement at DC Comics and really let us really move forward and try new things. And it was important for you to be in the regular book and the regular series. And just I want to talk about just the thought process of you stepping onto that kind of character and making your stamp on DC for in the first way, in a big way.
Yeah, look, I came over to DC in '98. I didn't do Hush until like 2002, so there's a lot of years that passed by where I kind of bided my time. But I knew that if I did a project at DC, it would have to be a big one, and it would also have to be on time. And that was a big thing because at the time, not a lot of books had shipped on time. So we actually worked in secret. It was a secret project, and I think only 3 people in the offices actually knew about that we were actually creating this book. And we had a lot of issues in the drawer, and finally we solicited. And there's a lot of talk of putting it into a separate title so it had its own first issue, and that way it wouldn't jeopardize the monthly shipping schedule of a regular book. But both Jeff Loeb and I felt that we should be part of the regular book. This should be canon. This should be something that drives continuity. This should be the book that really defines who Batman is for this period of time. And so we were able to kind of make that happen. And then, the book came out and people just loved it. So I can only say that when I was working on it, I was really trying to channel the work of the Giants previous to my work. These are the guys that inspired me not only to work on Batman, but to actually become a comic book artist. And that was a huge leap of faith because at the time there was no internet. No one really understood what it meant to do this for a living, or how to even do it as a living. And so in many ways, it's sort of my homage or a love letter to people like Frank Miller, Marshall Rogers, and Neil Adams, and all these other amazing talents that were behind Batman.
That's great. Now I want to go next to you, because now you're taking on another team over the Mortal Men, which we're about to get into.
I also said the same thing as Greg. I'm never going to do another team go back to Suicide Squad. So I don't know who the hell's in charge of things here. But I'm telling you, there's nothing wrong with the system. It stinks.
But if you look at it, I mean, here you go. They were on X-Men, had such a great run on that series. Then you move over, and then you launch really Image Comics and Wildcats. And here we are now with the Mortal Men, helping launch basically a new line of characters. How do you approach each of those books differently, and what's different about them to you?
Well, the fun of creating new characters is a completely different muscle set than drawing a character like Batman, where you're really just trying to reinvent things that existed before. I mean, you are introducing new things, but for the most part, you're deciding whether it should be short years or long years and stuff like that. When you're doing new characters, you're trying to do something that other people haven't done before, and then so every decision feels very momentous and can really bring you to a halt creatively if you don't kind of open yourself up and become fearless in the process. The really nice thing, though, about working on Mortal Men and working at DC is, unlike Image when we started, we actually have the strength of the DC universe behind us, and so we can start connecting the dots between things that we're creating that are wholly new to things that have existed for decades long, like Vandal Savage. So we have a lot of immortal characters, and now we're tying them to characters like Vandal Savage and Ra's al Ghul and Hawkman and other really cool characters that have been in the DC universe forever. And in the process, we're able to kind of interweave our characters into something that already exists, allowing you guys to kind of better access, I guess, the material in a way that you wouldn't if it was an all-new, all-different title that existed on its own.
Thank you. All right, let's go. Mr. Andy Kubert. I always have to pull up Kazar, and I'm still trying to find out why you put Thanos in a Kazar book. That still makes no sense to me.
Why I put Thanos in it?
Yeah.
Why not?
Look, we put up Kazar, and we know you have such great work, and so we're identified. The next two guys are going to say a speech. So identified with Marvel. That was great work, so you came over to DC Comics. Naturally, came right in, and you stepped onto Batman as well.
Discovered Frank and I were just talking about a little while ago. And we got a flash working on that.
There's some beautiful stuff when you came over here. How was it for you to make that move from Marvel to DC? How does that change your skill sets? Or how does it change how you approach working in comics?
The main reason... Not a bit. No, the main reason why I wanted to make the jump was I really wanted to draw that. That was basically it. I grew up, again, like Jim did, reading Neil Adams stuff. This guy's stuff. And then when I was at Marvel, I saw Jim having a blast with Batman, and Jim's stuff really influenced me. So that's why I really wanted to get over to do it.
That's great. And what was it like actually stepping on to something like DK3 and really working with Frank in that? And how much of your own style did you bring to the material? How much of Frank's style? Was it really a mix of it all?
Gosh, well, with those characters, those Darklight characters, they have specific ones. They have specific feelings. So, like Darklight Wonder Woman, you can't handle the same way as you would regular Wonder Woman. Because there's a lot of dark in her, a lot of flags and things like that. And she has a certain stance. She's weighted. Right? The way I draw her, her feet are planted. You can't move the woman. There's no freedom way. So regular Wonder Woman, she's a little bit more, and this is the way I approach it. Maybe you guys do it a little bit differently, but maybe a little bit more feminine. Maybe just because those heavy shadows aren't on her. But doing the Darklight thing, getting back to what you said, was, and Jim understood, we had talked about it. It's frightening, man. It was really, I don't know. It was.
You don't be messing up Batman.
You don't be messing up Batman. You follow the legacy. It was pretty tough, but it was funny.
It's great. And then the next project you're about to jump is diametrically opposed to what you did, which is challenges. You're going to be moving into one of the new age books, which is going to be challenging.
Oh, you got it.
There we go. Look at that stuff. And now it's big, crazy high adventure. And all sorts of fun things happening here. How's that been for you? Yeah.
That looks good.
I mean, Challenges has a long history, and you seem to be playing with it and really pushing directions too.
Yes, the Challenger stuff, you know, one of the main, there's a couple of reasons why I wanted to do Challengers. One of the, first and foremost was the covers that my father did. So it's kind of like, kind of near and dear to me, as a lot of the DC characters are. The other thing is, I wanted to do something else different than, I've been drawing superhero stuff for a long time. I love Batman. I love Batman a lot. But right now, I just want to take a little bit of a break and then get back into it. Challengers, we're going to have, like you saw on the cover, dinosaurs, and, pirates, and all kinds of stuff in there. More realistic things, you know, rather than superheroes.
So wait, you went from dinosaurs and pirates to more realistic? What's more realistic than dinosaurs and pirates? That's all I need to know. That's good. And you working with Scott Snyder on that too?
Working with Scott Snyder, yeah, which has been a blast so far.
And you want to make Greg really jealous for a second? What sort of plots are you getting from Scott Snyder?
What?
What type of plots are you getting from Scott?
Very loose plot.
I just got it, okay? My first plot. You know? Well, he just gave me one, because Dan had to beat him up. You say it's nothing but fun work with him. Give it some time.
Okay.
No, I'm just sweet guys. Have to choke him once in a while.
Yeah, give it lots.
As much as it was fun pulling Andy Cupid in, he did have ties to DC before, you know, so that was good, and he had worked there earlier, so getting him, it was a real win for us. John Romita was the great white whale for us at DC. I mean, here's a guy, family ties to Marvel Comics.
You mean his talent was huge and you had to kill him?
Well, if you want to go straight to the end of the story, sure.
AM ended up dead.
It's pretty much all off. You just.
I'm Sicilian, don't start your car in the morning, guys.
But there you are. I mean, John, it was really great to see all the incredible work you did in Marvel over the years. And then naturally the Kick-Ass series, you know, took on a life of its own. You come over to DC Comics, and again, what brought you to here? What brought you to DC?
I wish it was a classy, elegant, and graceful way of saying it was a deep thought. It wasn't. You were great, and they weren't. It was simple. I sat down to breakfast with Dan, and in an hour I wanted to work for DC. So Dan DiDio is the reason. The history of the characters and having fun with the characters happened after I started working on them. I still didn't have the appreciation at that time. I didn't have the appreciation until I started working on it. And embarrassingly so. I thought that Spider-Man was a great character. Now I know Batman and Superman are the greatest characters. I can't deny it.
There's so much great work in Spider-Man, and then also, you know, naturally, Kick-Ass really just took the world by fire. How was that for you, moving on to a career-owned book after being, you know, in the company for so long? Was it nerve-wracking to shift out in that way?
It was, but it was not nerve-wracking in intimidation form. It was more or less, I had to be told to open up and relax. Because I'd been in the business doing discretionary violence and discretionary everything for so long, mainstream books. And Mark Miller, in that garbled Scottish accent, would call regularly to say, you got to do more than what you've done before, and don't be afraid to get violent and foul. And I still was struggling with that. But once I got used to the fact, and I had to hide my son from coming to watch me draw for the first time, he says, Dad, can I come in? No, you can't come in. Please don't. And then at night I would find ways to disembowel people that I hadn't thought of the day before. So it was a whole revelation. But what happened was, when I realized that all I had to do was apply this extreme violence and extreme material to just the regular formula that I had telling a story, it ended up happening by itself. I was lucky, because if I hadn't learned how to tell a story, I couldn't apply all of this gruesome violence to it and have it come out well. And then, of course, working with Mark Miller is beyond a pleasure.
That's
Greg knows he's working with him. So it worked itself out, but it was just the adjustment from the Disney discretionary violence, where violence is happening in the shadows in the background, to showing it up front and personal. And it became a lot of fun, which is sick. But I go to bed at night and say, honey, I have to figure out